Good morning, everybody. Happy Sunday and happy Father's Day to all of the dads out there watching. Hopefully, you have a great Father's Day and hopefully, the weather cooperates with you. Unfortunately, that will not be the case for everyone today, but I do think a good section of the country is going to have a really nice Sunday in store. So, we'll definitely talk about today's forecast, but we're also going to talk about the week ahead and what I'm expecting. And unfortunately, for some of us, we're going to have quite the washout this week, exceeding even 5, 6, maybe even 7 inches of rain in spots over the next 7 days. So if today's nice, get out there and enjoy it because it will not be that way for a lot of folks for the foreseeable future. So that's really the plan of today's video. Of course, always, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me in the comments, and I'll definitely try my best to get around to answering them. I do have work today, though, pretty much all day, so again, just be a little patient with me on that side of things. With that said, though, let's go ahead and start talking about the weather. So looking at satellite imagery here, we have two big old low pressures spinning away, one off the northeast coast and one moving right through the heart of Kansas and Missouri right now. So these two areas are definitely getting some more active weather, but the areas kind of in between is who's going to have a really nice Father's Day. So really through much of the mid-Atlantic and a lot of kind of even the Midwest, we're going to have a pretty nice Father's Day in store. It's sections kind of down near the Mississippi River Valley and sections of the Gulf Coast here that are going to have, unfortunately, quite a stormy and dangerous day in store. So taking a look at current radar imagery, again, we do have some showers up into the northeast due to that low pressure, but really the main story is the one over kind of the central part of the country right now. And with that, we're getting some stronger storms really moving on down and south today. You can see this kind of big band of storms moving down from Arkansas into sections of Mississippi, Alabama, and Louisiana this morning. And with that, we do have a severe thunderstorm watch up here for a lot of southern Mississippi, but I'm sure by the time you're watching this, that very well may already be gone. Also down here, still excessive heat warnings and heat advisories down through much of southern Texas and Louisiana, where we're going to have pretty dangerous heat through much of this week ahead, unfortunately for you folks. So definitely watching out for that, and just make sure you're really staying hydrated and you have some place you can go with air conditioning, as this is really getting into dangerous levels of heat. So looking at today's severe weather threat, again, really down here kind of towards the Gulf Coast and the Mississippi River Valley Delta region, anywhere from southern Arkansas down through much of northern Louisiana, just about all of Mississippi and Alabama, and even anywhere through much of Florida and southern Georgia has a chance of a strong thunderstorm today, but really watching out for this area in orange here as we go through today. Now, as we get into tomorrow, this will shift off a little bit to the east, as we'll have a slight risk kind of from the Florida Panhandle through southern Georgia, Alabama, extreme southern Mississippi, and extreme, and I really do mean extreme, eastern Louisiana there. But even, in this green area from the Carolinas through much of Louisiana has a chance of a strong to severe storm tomorrow afternoon. Now, as we get into our day 3, which is Tuesday, less of a threat, but once again, kind of here along the Gulf Coast, having a chance of a strong afternoon thunderstorm. All right, so let's go ahead and break down radar imagery here for the next couple of days here. And again, going into this afternoon, you'll notice right now, this is kind of what we're seeing right now. This is that line of storms moving on through, and as we go through today, that will continue to move on through that enhanced risk area before getting into this afternoon. We'll likely get another round of storms to kind of fire off where the current storms are back towards Arkansas, and then once again move through. So it's going to be kind of a multi-round day for a lot of folks out here, and that will sweep on through tonight. Now, as we're getting into your morning rush hour tomorrow, into Monday, starting the new week off, this is when things are really going to deteriorate and stay pretty, really just ugly out there for a lot of folks in the southeast. So tomorrow morning, heavy rain from upstate South Carolina back towards Knoxville, Nashville, much of Kentucky as well, seeing that heavy rain tomorrow morning. And as we go through tomorrow afternoon, you'll notice this low pressure just kind of hangs around, and what's going to happen with that is we're going to get bands of rain to set up here, almost like you get on feeder bands on hurricanes, are going to set up from the Gulf Coast tomorrow afternoon and just continue to ride inland. So I'm very concerned about some training thunderstorms tomorrow. You'll notice, for example, especially over the western Carolinas tomorrow, we could get some pretty intense bands of rain and even some thunderstorms to kind of set up over the exact same areas. So flooding, I think, is going to be a real risk over the next week. And unfortunately, this will continue into Tuesday afternoon. So as I move this ahead, you might be thinking, okay, this is Monday, this is still Monday, this is still Monday. No, this is Monday into Tuesday. So this low is unfortunately just going to really sit over the exact same place, and with that, we're going to have some big time flash flooding concerns into sections of the Carolinas and Georgia, and even other areas, but really those three states are the ones I'm most concerned about here over the next 7 days. So that's now through Tuesday. Again, we have the severe weather to get through today, maybe even tomorrow, but after that, really the flooding threat is what is going to become a really big deal. Now, I will quickly touch, outside of this low pressure, we're going to have some pretty nice weather to start this week. Outside of the Northeast, where we could see a couple scattered showers, but nothing like we're going to see in the Southeast. Overall, it's really nice weather back out towards the Great Plains and the Midwest. So that is some good news. Unfortunately, still dealing with the heat out there, but in terms of precipitation, it will be relatively dry. Now, as I move this ahead into the rest of this coming week, again, this is Tuesday afternoon where we left off. All that rain still going on in the Southeast. And you'll notice as I move this ahead, this is Wednesday afternoon. Looks like the exact same picture. Thursday afternoon, looks like the exact same picture. Friday afternoon, the exact same thing. Saturday afternoon, we finally maybe get a little bit of relief as this low pressure kind of finally just begins to weaken. But even the remnants of this low look to really sit still over the exact same place. So again, really going to be concerned about some flash flooding into the Southeast here as we go through this week. So really, there's a chance of rain from now until I tell you there's not a chance of rain, to be quite honest. So it's just unfortunately going to be a pattern that sets up and locks into place. Now, again, outside of this rain, expect some big time heat out here towards Texas and the Midwest, but will be cooler obviously down here into the Southeast, where these clouds and rain will continue to dominate the pattern. So looking at today's excessive rainfall map, again, this is mainly due to those thunderstorms today, but we do have a slight risk today through much of Mississippi, Alabama, sections of western Tennessee, and kind of there where Missouri, Illinois, and Kentucky meet as well, having the chance of some flash flooding today. Now, as we get into tomorrow, that threat shifts off to the east, again into those areas I was talking about, the chance of those feeder bands of sorts to set up off the Gulf of Mexico. Definitely watching that, and I think honestly by the time we get to tomorrow, this will likely be upgraded to a moderate risk through this kind of section here of the country. Now, as we get into Tuesday, a whole lot more of the same, especially into the Western Carolinas, where again, the Western Carolinas are really where I'm worried as a whole about the next week, as you're already prone due to the upsloping and the topography there, that combined with just such an impressive flow and so much precipitable water, it's going to cause some pretty big time problems that way, and we could even be looking at some mudslides in the mountains. Now, looking at how much rain are we talking about over the next week, again into the Western Carolinas here, look at these totals, 6-7 inches of rain, very possible north of I-85 and kind of sandwiched between I-85 and I-40 here, especially counties like Transylvania County, where you have a lot of those slopes that the second, that water hits it and rises, you just wring out everything out of those clouds. So really worried about places like that. But even outside of the Western Carolinas here, we're going to see a lot of rain. Widespread 3 to 5 inches of rain through the rest of the Carolinas, Georgia, Florida, much of Alabama, even seeing a lot of that rain over the next week. As we move this northbound a little bit, looking at the mid-Atlantic, again, there's going to be a pretty sharp cutoff because this low pressure is going to be sitting over Tennessee for the majority of this time. So the flow is only going to go so far around this thing, and where that is where we're going to see a lot of that rain. So really kind of DC northbound, not all that much rain over the next week, really. It's really the Ohio River southbound. So places like Richmond, Raleigh, back over towards kind of Boone, North Carolina, and through much of Tennessee, kind of southbound, is where we're going to see the bulk of this rain. But again, anyone can see rain, even into the Northeast over the next week. It just won't be nearly as big of a deal as we're going to see down into the Carolinas. Now, that's not the only story to talk about right now. We also do have a tropical threat to worry about, and the National Hurricane Center has given this one a 90% chance of development within the next 7 days and an 80% within just the next 48 hours. So, again, likely going to see a tropical storm out here into sections of the Atlantic Ocean, and we'll definitely watch that. Now, there are still some question marks. Again, we feel pretty confident it's going to go in kind of this bubble here, but what happens after that is a bit of a question mark. A lot of models take it up this way, some take it this way, and then, some also kind of take it that way. So we'll definitely watch. What I will say is you almost kind of want this northern track a little bit, just because most of the models that do that, what I should say, sorry, is you almost want this thing to strengthen, because a lot of the models that strengthen it take it on that northern track. This is what I was trying to convey there. So if it stays this way, luckily, again, there's a lot of islands to get through, and this time of the year, the shear in the Caribbean normally is very unfavorable, so this thing will likely get ripped apart. Not to say it definitely will, but it'll likely get ripped apart. But if it strengthens sooner, it could curve out to sea, and then, we'll definitely watch out for Bermuda and way down the road in the kind of 2-week time frame. Maybe it tries to curve back towards land, but again, that's pretty far out there, so we definitely have some time to track it. And we're at that time of the year looking at spaghetti models here, so again, you'll notice we have a pretty healthy chunk of these models that take this kind of and curve it before it gets to the Antilles, but we do also have some that still kind of keep it on this southern track. So definitely watching that over the next 7 days, and even past that likely. But again, that's all I want to talk about today, because again, this is the 120-hour mark, so 5 days from now would be the first time it has a chance of impacting land. So I definitely have a little bit of time to watch that. So again, happy Father's Day to everyone who is celebrating that today. Also, just happy Sunday in general, and hopefully you're out there trying to enjoy some of the nicer weather if you are getting it, especially here in the Carolinas, where I know I have a pretty healthy amount of watchers, just because that's where I'm from. So definitely get out there and enjoy today before things go downhill over the next, really the next week. So that is definitely what we will be watching. With that said, though, again, hope you have a great rest of your Sunday, and I will see you all tomorrow.